All right, we're going to take a look at Aleks 1-5, number 1. Aleks 1-5, number 1. Okay, on this problem, the instructions say we're going to graph a piecewise defined function. And it says suppose f is defined in this way as follows. And we have to graph the function f. So here's how it's defined. Now remember, f of x is the same thing as y. We say f of x represents y. And so what this is saying, these are the y values here. This is the y values. And then it gives, if these f or these statements with the x, these are what we call the domain values or the x values. So this is telling you, given certain domains, you have certain y values. And so I'm trying to graph these in different colors. What this means is this graph is going to have 5 different looking pieces or different branches of graph. And so the first branch or the first piece, I'll call this one number 1. I'll do number 1 here. This first piece would only exist on these x values. So from the x value of negative 3.5 to the x value of negative 2.5, the y will be negative 3. So I go to the y-axis of negative 3, which is here, the x value of negative 3.5 to negative 2.5. So that'll connect. The y value is 3 from negative 3.5, this spot, to negative 2.5, which is right there. That's 3.5, negative 2.5. Now I'm going to look at these symbols. This one is just a less than, which not an equal to. That means it's going to be an open circle. Anytime your symbol has less ink, it's an open circle, less ink. If it has more ink underneath, I'm talking about the equal to sign, then the point will be closed dot. It'll take more ink to fill it in. So you have those 2 dots, and this would be a line segment connecting those 2 dots. I have a closed on the right because this is less than or equal to. The symbol had more ink, so it needs more ink here. The one on the left is less ink. It's just a less than, and for that reason, it's an open circle. So we'd have this first little line segment with an open circle and a closed circle because that's the symbols we have here. When I go to negative 2, or number 2 here, let me say that. Let's look at now at graph number 2. I'll do this one in blue. This is going to go from the x value of negative 2.5 to negative 1.5. The y value will be negative 2. So my y value is now negative 2. When the x's go from negative 2.5 to negative 1.5. Again, open, closed. Open circle, closed circle. Open because this symbol has less ink, closed because this one has more ink. So it's open followed by closed, and they would connect like that. Now I go to my next point. This would be segment number 3 here. Of the y value in negative 1 from negative 1.5 to negative 0.5. Both of these are open. Look at open, open. There's no extra line underneath, so they both be open circles. So at negative 1, I'm going to have open and connect that with a segment. I go to now a y value of 0, and this is from negative 0.5 to 0.5. I'll do this fourth one in red, fourth piece in red here, number 4, from negative 0.5 to 0.5 when the y value is 0. So the y value, the y-axis is now at 0. I do this from closed and open, closed, open, and that's the domain value there. I just wrote down because it's the x's. So from negative 0.5 to positive 0.5. And now finally, the y value of 1 from 0.5. Let's see, what color have I not used yet? Black I haven't used. So let's say this one's number 5. From 0.5 to 1.5 on the x-axis. So from 0.5 to 1.5, we'll have a y value of 1. Closed, followed by open. Closed, followed by open. Connect them, and that's what this graph would look like.